Good morning, good day, good evening. Jonathan Regan, also known as New Questions, coming to you from Blockchain Education Headquarters here on the Gold Coast. Absolutely beautiful day. I'm going to do some more videos so you guys can see the view pretty soon. But for now, this web camera stuff works really easy. Can have my coffee, just finished it. Let's talk about the market. I want to talk about Bitcoin in particular. As we can see here, had a sustained downtrend, pretty impressive downtrend. Let's go down to the lowest point. I think it was here, 23% in 9 days. We see we've had a little bit of a recovery, and look where we've stopped dead. The mighty 200 moving average. This 200 moving average that I've applied to my chart is actually a 45-minute candle multiplied by 200 periods of time. Now, a lot of people ask me, why do you use a 45-minute candle? I found in backtesting some of the algorithms that I designed that the 45-minute candle seemed to provide better entries and exits. Now, I don't know if that means it just means that certain traders, institutional level traders perhaps, are using the 45-minute. Maybe that's a faster way to end a candle as opposed to waiting for the full hour to end. Or maybe it's, I'm not sure. But I've been using the 45-minute candle for probably, I don't know, maybe 18 months now, and it's starting to work extremely well. I mean, when I say starting, it's been working incredibly well over the last 18 months. And so often we'll see that important moving averages like the 50 and the 200 become really, really accurate locations for support and resistance. Now, I have a feeling that this strong move by Bitcoin back up to make a new higher high after hitting this 200 moving average, this is starting to look a little bit grim to me. I'm starting to think that we might actually go a little bit lower unless we can find some really good support on this level and we can stay well above this 200 moving average, which I imagine is going to come down this way. This also looks really negative and grim. The trend is not very strong. We're actually running sideways. So this entire section here, you could consider from about here to here, this is not really trending at all. We know that because of the fact that the ADI, the ADX, is basically sitting around that baseline of 25. Wells Wilder, the creator of this indicator, basically said that once you're below 25, once you're below that threshold, you're no longer trending. So this is not a downtrend, this is not an uptrend, this is, as we can see, this is just sideways. And if you're like me and you're a crypto trader, you don't want sideways. We need that volatility to make money. So very interesting situation. Sideways, of course, is very good for altcoins that are measured against Bitcoin. And as a result, we can, let's go and have a look at coin market cap, because I wanted to mention a few things here. Firstly, Binance, where we do most of our trading, has had a huge $1 billion overnight profit. But look at this, 55% increase in adjusted volume on altcoins. Now, some people will say, well, how on earth do you guys manage to understand 553 markets simultaneously? And I'd say, well, it's probably because we spent $1 million building systems and we've hired like nearly 9 people whose sole job every single day of the week is to basically just watch the markets in crypto, specifically the altcoins listed on Binance. But that's a really interesting increase in the amount of volume, and you can see this little spike here in the last 7 days. So while Bitcoin is running sideways in this particular ranging area under 25 on the ADX, we can expect to see lots and lots of calls. Now, speaking of calls, we have a feature inside Blockchain Education called the hot calls and the fastest calls, and I'm going to pull this up now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go calls, fastest moving calls. Now, a call is essentially the same as an algorithmic signal, except these were created by human analysts. A little bit sort of more conservative, a little bit more careful. So we have a doc. We can see doc's been moving, called a couple of times, and this Sonum. We're going to have a look at those in a second. I also want to go to hot coins, which is another feature, which is an industry-wide analysis of what's been moving. Look at that, 10% in the last hour for XZC, picking up volume. Really good, strong volume starting to pick up here. We have this MDA, which we've been talking about. I'm going to talk about it in a second. Really interesting, ZRX back on my radar again. So what I would suggest is, if we continue ranging sideways like this, and if we continue to basically sit under that 25 threshold on the ADX, and if this 200 moving average becomes a sort of a resistance barrier along with this kind of area here, I reckon we might get some sideways action, which is going to be fantastic for altcoin trading. Extremely good if you know what you're looking for. And of course, blockchain education provides amazing calls and signals. And we're going to have a look at some of those now. I'm just going to refresh this page. This is my summary page. This is by all means not the total amount of signals and calls that we provide. We have hundreds and hundreds of those. This is actually delayed, but you can see consistently we're getting huge numbers in the industry over the last week, huge big numbers. And this is just the calls. Look at the short-term stuff. In the last couple of days, just lots and lots of opportunities to make 5, 10, 30%, just hundreds. And I've talked about this over and over again in my YouTube videos. There's no signals group out there that can automatically generate this many signals with this sort of profitability, supported by a large staff, multiple offices in different time zones. We have huge algorithms and back-end infrastructure that we've basically built from scratch with a premium signals group, and I feel proud to say that, and now we're on YouTube. So, exciting! My job is to convince you, if you're not a member, to join us, because we've got the education, the automation, and the support that you need to make money in crypto. Now, speaking of making money in crypto, we'll go back to Binance and let's just we'll refresh this page so we get a nice up-to-date thing. And let's do a 24-hour change and look at some of the big winners. MDA, BTC. Let's look at MDA. Those of you who've been watching my videos have been seeing that I've been really bullish on MDA over the last couple of weeks. And why not? Look, I can't begin to explain how much of a beautiful uptrend this has been. We've come out of this particular area here. Let's turn on some custom indicators, get our entries. Called originally here, multiple algorithm signals rather. In the system. We've been calling this multiple times in the last week and a half. Beautiful move up here, comes back into the 50 moving average to find support, dips below it, but kind of clings with it within 5% to 10% of the moving average. And then this explosive move straight across the 50, drag along the top of the RSI curve, and another explosive move. And here we are up at sort of nearly 14,000. And I got to say, this has been one hell of a run so far, 130% in 6 days. I mean, does anybody really care if Bitcoin goes down 20% in a week when you've got altcoins with huge volume on Binance, the world's largest adjusted volume exchange, running 130% in less than a week? Are you kidding me? And all forecast and pre-told to our members. And also in the last week and a half, I've been on YouTube explaining all this, showing the trends, explaining and revealing some of our methodology. And I think if the timestamp charts and the fact that we're a legitimate, organized, regulated company based out of Australia, if that's not enough to convince you that we actually know what we're doing and we're telling the truth, then hopefully the timestamp videos, you can go back in time and watch some of those previous videos where I talk about MDA and Vibe in particular. And I'm going to talk about Vibe right now because Vibe's been another winner, although not exactly showing up here on the fastest moving coins on Binance. I know for a fact that Vibe has continued to be really, really impressive. Another one that we've been calling multiple times in the system. We saw this explosive move from across the 50, across the 200, triggering a blitz candle. Beautiful sustained uptrend. A recent high up here at 288, and we've come down into the bottom of the bands, which is another part of our algorithm, algorithmic sort of method of trading. We don't sort of kind of guess. We apply the same methodology to all different assets. This type of move where we've come deep out of the top of the RSI cave, deep into the bottom of the bands, and then bounce. This is all part of our methodology. Another higher high, a closed body higher high as we go towards 300. I remember saying in one of the YouTube videos that we are actually on our way to 300. The market will support that move. And as you can see, I'd say we've almost got, maybe another 5-6% to go. We're still on the way, making a new higher high to go with these higher lows that continue coming. This is a beautiful uptrend, and I wouldn't expect anything other than a lower high, a higher low. Oh my God, a higher low. Not enough time since I've had my coffee. See, you have to have your coffee and then you need to let it kick into the bloodstream and then you can talk as fast as me. All right, so Vibe looking really, really nice. MDA, we talked about that. Algo, also one of the first videos I talked about Algo. Beautiful, strong uptrend, sweeping trend reversal here. Explosive move across the 200. We go positive and above the threshold here. nice chunky green zone here. We had an explosive move here. We sort of came back a little bit and we sort of went ranging for a little while. We actually declined a little, but now algo running on to make a new higher high, and this trend continues. Even more impressive, I think, on the 15-minute chart, because it was a little bit easier to kind of see this thing. We had our ranging area here, pretty sideways. How do I know it was sideways? Well, firstly, obviously, I can see that it's sideways, but secondly, I can also see that the ADX, the ADI is below 25. This is not the sort of area that we trade in. We stay away from this. We only like to get in once it starts trading. So once the majority of these particular sections here and sort of here and this little bit in here, we're going DI positive and we want it to be above 25, so from here to here. So the majority of this particular section is going to be considered by our algorithms and by our analysts as a sort of a safe zone that we want to trade in. You'll get multiple calls here, and at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're waiting to see if the price departs the 200 moving average. We've got the 50 here, but as you can see, this is the 200 moving average. So entangled here, entangled, the price, the candles start to move away from the 200 moving average. Look how far it is. Moving away, moving away. Now it's a long way. We're moving away, moving away, moving away, moving away. This is all very positive. This is all pretty much an uptrend. We're getting a series of higher lows, series of higher lows, lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Is the next higher low up here? I told everybody that we'd probably go to 3,000. Look where we are. We're at 3,000. Will we run a little bit higher? Well, it kind of looks good, I got to say. We seem to have some sort of positive trajectory here. We're definitely DI positive. We seem to be making a series of higher lows, as I suggested. And we're sort of, after this ranging area, we're starting to make higher highs. Will we make some higher? Could we go further? I don't know. Let's go and have a look at, say, a 4-hour chart and just kind of see how far we have to go before we encounter some serious resistance. Now, I can already tell instantly that this is probably a good place to be thinking about taking your profits. Now, I'm going to make that red because of the fact that coming out of this area, we've now run 45% in 4 days. We've now come to this particular area, which is a known area of prior support. This section here in particular, this is prior support. When the price was coming down, instead of continuing down, it actually hit some sort of support level. This support level now, this support level, which we can call green, good place to think about, maybe accumulating, but we found that it broke below. This particular area here now becomes our resistance area. So once the price moves back off the bottom of the RSI cave, once we go DI positive here and we start to increase the trend, we get back into this area, this particular prior support area now becomes a serious resistance area. A secondary resistance area is the 200 moving average. Now, when we're above the 200 moving average, it acts as a place where we can bounce, but when the price is below the 200 moving average, this becomes a serious resistance area as well. I would imagine that this is probably going to continue down in this sort of general direction, and we can see that's going to probably extend that way. And we're going to come into this area here, and I got to say that's not a great area. That's a series of prior support which will now become resistance. But the combination of the 200 moving average and this prior support zone, now resistance, this area here, and the fact that this is not exactly very high. I mean, I could see some decline here, and we may end up being as far as we're going to go here with algo. So although it's been a beautiful little run, the algorithms and the analysts picked it up, I would say that we're very close to getting out of algo now. Not something I would consider a long-term investment. I actually released a video about investing versus Bitcoin, investing versus trading, and you can see that if you were simply an investor coming out of this high and then going into this low, you would have lost 70% in the last 40 days. You don't want to invest in a coin like this, especially while it's under the 200 moving average. This 200 moving average is definitely something that you want to be aware of, and you want to have it on your charts. You don't want to be investing when the price is below this. You can trade it, and we see a beautiful move there, a reversal pattern, a new higher high. Instead of getting the lower low, we ended up getting a break, and we got a nice little move here, well documented in the system. A lot of guys made money on that one, especially the auto trading system, but it's something you don't want to invest in. So Vibe, Algo, MDA also doing really, really well. Let's have a look at some other ones. I'm just going to reload this. I've been watching EDO. I was just suggesting that let's go change. PHB, some of this stuff got real low volume. We don't deal with low volume coins as much as some other groups. HBAR, I had a look at this one. HBAR is a very new coin. Actually, let me change that one to Binance, because that's where we're going to get all the volume. Now you can see my chart doesn't make any sense until I go back to, let's go back to a 5-minute candle. Now 5 minutes is such a short period of time. We're going to have a look here at okay, so we came up into the 200, kind of rejected it, the RSI roof cave. We're basically ranging here. I can't recommend a buy on HBAR right now. It needs a little bit more time. What else we got? HBAR, MFT did okay, Algo, Atom, Cosmos. Yeah, I don't know. The rest of this stuff, kind of a little bit all over the place. Let's go and have a look at Ethereum, one of the big ones. What have you been doing in the last, we'll change out to a 45-minute candle. What's Ethereum doing? Just kind of ranging up. No, it's not ranging actually. It looks like it's broken out and made a new higher high. I'll run a trend channel up here, clone that. Yeah, actually not too bad. Although I got to say, having come back above the 25, it's now starting to show sustained weakness here. Lower DI values. Looks like it's about to slip under. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up coming back into the bottom of this particular uptrend channel. I'll make that red. And then I'm not sure where we're going to go from there, but I would definitely suggest that we range a little bit here. That's probably because there's a prior resistance zone. And yeah, look at that. So this area here, pretty much a prior resistance zone. Sort of resisted it here, bit of resistance across the top here, sort of came up into the resistance zone, came up into the resistance zone, came up, sitting here. This is probably a great place to be taking profits, to be honest. You want to move from zone to zone, from range to range. And I think this was particularly a rangy area. This was our reversal. This is another range area, but I got to say, not looking all that strong for Ethereum. If this particular price can't get above this one, then this is actually a lower high. So this one's high, this is the high, and this is a lower high. And I got to say, that probably means if things are showing sustained weakness, that we might end up getting a lower low. That could be down here. So we might see this sort of pattern. And we've seen that with Ethereum over and over again, where recent gains are simply erased by the market. It's almost like someone's manipulating the price of Ethereum. I talked about that in one of the actual videos as well. Okay, so what else we got? Let's just do a refresh on the fastest moving calls. So nothing new going on. EDO, we'll have a look at EDO really briefly. I know that was actually called, I think it was called, or it was picked up by the algorithms, but I think it was only just recent activity. Yeah, pretty explosive here. You're going to have to go down onto the 15-minute chart to make sense of this sort of stuff. We don't often see such an explosive sort of move across the 250 divide, but I got to say, the algorithms have picked this up pretty early, and why not? I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking as much as 20% in 7 hours. So keep your eye on EDO. We might see some sort of explosive activity. If we run a Fibonacci chart across this, I'm not even sure this is even applicable, but let's just try it anyway. Yeah, we can see that we've kind of come up into this 50% retrace zone. So from this low here to this recent high, we've come back 50%. Actually, we've come all the way down into the 786 zone. That means 78.6% retrace from this high up here, and we've now come back up into that 50% zone. Do I think it's going to go higher? I don't know. I think this might have been a short-term signal. Let's look at the 4-hour and get a bit of an idea of what EDO is doing. Actually, you know what? This is starting to look really interesting. We've had a sustained multi-week downtrend. Let's have a look at that. So 89 days as a downtrend, and now I can see a series of higher lows. This is actually starting to look like a bit of a trend channel. And not only that, but it's starting to look like it's a strong trend channel. Now, some people will ask me, What is a strong trend channel? Does the strength have anything to do with the speed or the velocity that the price goes up? Does it have anything to do with the amount of volume that is going to be shown during the trend channel? No, that's not true either. A strong trend channel, a strong channel with a trend inside it, is when you can find multiple different spots inside that channel that tap your channel boundaries, so to speak. So you can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 taps along the bottom, and we might have like 1, 2, let's call that 3, 4, 5, at least 6, 7, 8, and possibly 9. So I'm sort of suggesting that on this particular time frame, which is the 4-hour, obviously we're going to get a little bit more. I think that we're going to continue inside this trend channel, and you can see it's actually been looking extremely attractive for really quite a long time. If you got in here, let's just say you got in here as it passed the 50, and you actually managed to get out here, you're looking at 88%. Right now, you're looking at sort of 57% in 21 days. Really attractive set of higher lows, as you can see, crossed above the 50 and then got above the mighty 200. Notice how the 200 comes down, and as I said, it's support and resistance. Look at this for support right here. Perfect. So the 200 moving average comes below the price falls all the way down straight into the 200 and then explodes vertically, setting a new higher high and a continuation of this interesting looking trend. I've got to say, this is really aggressive candles, aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up doing something similar to what we see in our methodology, which is a cycle, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a giant aggressive move up into this 7,000 zone. Not suggesting that you necessarily go and invest in EDO. Obviously, if you remember, you can ask our analysts and you can keep an eye on the algorithms and all that sort of stuff. But I got to say, starting to look like a nice looking uptrend. We're pretty positive. We're above the threshold. The only little concern I have here is this declining value in the trend. So the trend is starting to lose a bit of strength. And if you have a look, we'll pull this one out, pull this one down. If I run a line across the top here, we're kind of seeing a series of lower highs in terms of the ADI value. So the strength of the trend is actually declining like that. So that means that from about here onwards, we see lower high, lower high, lower high. So although this is technically an uptrend, it's actually starting to lose a bit of speed. And that usually means that we might end up ranging into a ranging market. If this ADI goes into the area below the threshold and the DI positive candles come down and eventually we sort of dribble around this and start going sideways, then what we'll find is that we end up basically going sideways. We start ranging, and as I've said previously, we don't really want to be in a ranging market. We want to enjoy these trends while we can and get out when they're ranging, especially when we have other coins like MDMA. Oh, MDMA? Yeah, God, it's on my mind, isn't it? MDA. We have other coins making sustained higher highs, and you can see that the actual the ADI and the ADX is positive, getting higher and higher and higher. We don't want to be in a ranging market. We don't want to be in a declining market. Once we see this sort of pattern where we have a declining value and we have lower candles, we know that basically this area here is sort of the area where you want to get out. Now, our guys get out a little bit earlier because we are getting out once it hits the RSI roof, and this is probably a great exit. So I think all in all, the markets are extremely volatile right now. I think it's really good for altcoin traders. We see this like a huge kind of increase in volume. Really, really interesting. If we go back to the front of CoinMarketCap, you can see we've got some pretty good stuff going on here. I got to say, CoinMarketCap is probably the most popular website to analyze the markets, but is by no means the best. In fact, our guys have actually got a much better system, which is actually free. It's called cryptomarketprice.com. I'm going to load it up here. You can see they may have a few ads for us, but you can see we have some insane stuff like the currencies. I think this system is now tracking 2,400 2,000. Actually, let's go find out how many it's tracking. I think it's 2,000. Oh no, yeah, here we go. 2,422 active currencies with over 20,000 active markets. This system is actually really cool. You guys will love it. Just as good as CoinMarketCap, except I think it's actually better because you get a lot faster. Let's go 24-hour volume. We go Bitcoin Cash. Interesting, Bitcoin Cash. Lots and lots of volume there. Really interesting. They might be doing so. You know what? Let's go and have a look at Bitcoin Cash because I haven't checked it out for a while. BCHB. I'm not sure. So we'll have a look at the Coinbase chart and we'll just have a look at what's going on with the old Bitcoin Cash. I'm not exactly a big fan of the Bitcoin variants. In fact, I almost banned it, abandoned inside our community. I'm not interested in Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Cash, Satoshi Vision or Bitcoin Cash or whatever the hell they call it. All these variants, which are essentially open source cloned ripoffs of the original Bitcoin. I'm not a big fan of that. I support the Bitcoin developers changing and improving the Bitcoin protocol. I don't enjoy and don't support anybody who advocates towards splitting the chains and forking it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm quite glad that Bitcoin Cash is actually dying a slow, painful death. But I got to say that this explosive volume, I don't know, a bit confusing. I wouldn't go anywhere near this myself. Let's just stick with old Bitcoin, good old Bitcoin, Bitcoin US dollar Tether. Tether, remember, is a digital token. We want to be a little bit careful about that. Let's go back into this 45-minute chart. Turn on this one, turn off that one. Just have a quick look. Have we managed to get above the 200 moving average? Kind of still sitting around. This does look a little bit positive. Hang in there, traders. We are ranging sideways. This is a ranging area. If you're a Bitcoin investor, I strongly recommend that you go and watch my video about investing versus trading because, like I said, while Bitcoin is essentially running sideways for weeks and doing basically nothing, our system is producing calls like MDA, which we can see are doing, ridiculous things right here. Algo. I mean, there's hundreds more, to be honest. Vibe. None of these are cherry picked. I just like the look of the charts, and the reality is that there are absolutely hundreds of calls in the system. I'm doing the old scrolly thing for you guys. Slow it down if you want to. We basically don't show you the calls from the last 24 to 48 hours. They're all on delay because this is a public YouTube channel. If you're interested in joining, we're running a special right now, 7-day refund policy. You're going to get in at an extraordinary price. I look forward to seeing you inside the community. You can chat with our analysts and the other senior members. So lots going on, and I think that this is a great time to wrap it up. I don't want to go too long with these updates. You've seen some of the altcoins that are moving really well. Bitcoin basically ranging sideways. I really would appreciate it. I really would. I'm not just saying that like some other YouTubers. I would really appreciate it if you liked, comment, shared, or basically enjoy this video and let your friends know about this video. We're trying to grow this YouTube channel. I want to prove to people that we know what we're doing. I really hope that I can help you make money. All right, we'll talk to you soon. My name's Jonathan Regan, also known as New Questions from blockchaineducation.com.au.